Monday can be kind of a fun day when it's countdown day, as it is here on the channel. And this week, the countdown question was interesting, and the way people interpreted it was interesting. It was the top 10 least effective, or most ineffective, if you will, mold reuses. That's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, out of my baby, hit that notification bell, please. It helps me a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that is down in the description as well. Down in the description. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. And like I said, this is the top 10 most ineffective mold reuses, and there have been a lot of mold reuses. Some make sense, some are logical, some are even done really successfully because it's like, wow, yeah, that really fits that character too. Other ones, not so much. Now, I did kind of end up, because of the way the voting was going, I expanded this ever so slightly for slight remolds, and really I tried to stick that as just if there was a head remolded. Like the neck down, a mold reuse with the head remolded. Because sometimes you get a reuse that's just the skeleton, and so much is done different that it feels like its own and it's really successful. These, as voted on by fans, are the least effective. The ones that just, man, it just doesn't quite work. And honestly, we're going to talk about a few after as well, because there were a lot of individual votes that came in. It was difficult, man. This was a difficult one for people to wrap their head around. It was a difficult one to kind of amass, but it was a really interesting topic. Maybe next week we'll do the best mold reuses. We'll see. So, we're going to kick things off with our honorable mentions. And the first honorable mention is Siege Chromia. A lot of people that voted for her said, look, they didn't find the Power of the Primes mold particularly good. Trying to remold it to make it work for Siege just really didn't work, with the hip skirt popping off and the chunks on the leg that hindered articulation and the loosey-goosey ankles and hips. It just didn't work. As well, Titans Return Fort Max. Some people said that didn't work. I think it works great. I adore my Metroplex, I adore my Fort Max. I don't know why somebody would say it's ineffective, but it's not about me. I think they work. If you didn't and you voted for Fort Max, then I get it. That being said, Fort Max also had, especially in the torso and with his head and stuff, significant remolding. If you didn't like the legs and the arms of Metroplex, maybe you wouldn't like Fort Max, you know? Just throwing it out there. Studio Series 86, Daniel and Wheelie. We all know that both of those are trash, and which one was kind of a mold reuse of the other, I don't know. They're both garbage. Combiner Wars Huffer, Titans Return Megatron, Kingdom T-Rex, and Armada Sideswipe. All of those honorable mentions, all of them actually had the same number of votes. None of them made the list. So who did? Well, you know, man, what we're going to do by now. We're going to kick things off, of course, with number 10 first. At number 10, we have a version of a character that a lot of people were excited to get, and it's this guy. Yep, it is Select's Bug Bite. A lot of people said, hey, a Bug Bite, that's cool, that's great. I love when GoBots, link up with Transformers, because we all know that Bug Bite was one of the GoBots that ended up coming out in the Transformers universe, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, bad guy, Bumblebee. But here's the thing, while the head was the Bumblebee head that was really used with the Netflix Bumblebee, the body was not that Beetle, but instead the Cliff Jumper mold. And a lot of people said it shouldn't have been that Cliff Jumper mold. That was the wrong body to use. Not only should it have not been the Cliff Jumper mold, but a lot of people also felt like we were lacking some of the black detailing, almost like tattoo detailing that he had. I want to say using the Classics Bumblebee mold, maybe? I'm fine with less black detailing on him, but I agree. He probably should have had that, Volkswagen Beetle body that the Netflix Bumblebee had. Word is that that didn't happen because the license is specifically for that car to be used for Bumblebee, and with the shade of yellow that's a little darker, which is why the Netflix Bumblebee is a little darker. That's what I've heard. I don't know if there's truth to it, because some people with that Netflix one said, why isn't he like really yellow? Apparently that's a requirement of the license. I don't know. But enough people were kind of bent into shape that Bug Bite was a cliff jumper use rather than a Bumblebee use, that, you know what, that's not a successful mold reuse, and he took the number 10 slot. Speaking of disappointments, number 9 is a reuse of the Earthrise Kingdom RC mold that got a lot of flack, and it's this. Yup, Elita One, and I gotta say, I totally skipped this. I didn't like it. I didn't think it worked for Elita One, and I really didn't like the way the coloring was done. Like, I don't get the beige and the white. You choose one or the other. Either the thighs should have also been beige, or the whole leg should have been white. I don't know. The mix and mishmash just didn't land for me, and I've known people who have tried to repaint the beige as white, and guess what? Apparently the plastic crumbles under paint. That's what I've heard. That's what I've seen pictures of. Really, really strange. A lot of people didn't like the mold. A lot of people didn't like the colors. And a lot of people, when they tried to fix the colors, broke her. I would call that most definitely a 3 strikes you're out scenario, and a mold reuse failure. And she took the number 9 slot. Then number 8 was a bit of a stretch for a personal favorite character of mine, and it's this guy. Yeah, it is the Combiner Wars Wheeljack. Look, I wasn't a particularly huge fan of that mold anyway, and there were many uses of it, from Breakdown to one of the Technobots in Japan to, of course, Wheeljack. And while some of those other versions of that mold did have votes, the vast majority voted for the Wheeljack use of that mold. And I agree, I love Wheeljack. I dearly love Wheeljack, my favorite character. Love the original, love the Generations, even like the War for Cybertron version. I even skipped on the Combiner Wars one. I don't like the way those hips are done, where it's on that centerpiece and the hips can kind of wiggle a bit. I felt like the coloration was off. Why is his entire arm like white? It just, there was too much off about that for me to let it pass, as much as I love Wheeljack. I'm not even gonna lie. I feel like the upcoming Authentics Wheeljack probably does the job a little better than the Combiner Wars. I get why they wanted to use it, especially after Breakdown. I just don't think it was the right call to use. And so did enough fans that he took the number 8 slot. Number 7 was kind of interesting, and it was the Titans Return Quickswitch, which of course was basically a reuse of the 6-shot mold. Now, I like that mold. A lot of people complained about it and said their knees are super weak and stuff. And I will agree that maybe there should have been like a little bit of remolding here and there to kind of differentiate the Quickswitch use from the 6-shot use more. It was, especially when it comes to the animal mode, it was a little bit of a stretch for sure. It works for me, but I understand why somebody who is a bigger Quickswitch fan than me would be bent out of shape a little bit. Maybe he deserved to be a bit more of an extensive retool rather than more of a straight reuse with a new head. Enough fans felt the same way that he was able to take the number 7 slot. Number 6 is a version of a character using a mold that a lot of people didn't like, but that I thought was fine, and it's this guy. Yep, thrilling 30s, if you will, Generations, Voyager class Doubledealer. I thought it was fine. Instead of having the bird, have it be a plane. Cool, I'm alright with that. The tank, instead of the like missile truck thing, I can live with that. Doubledealer wasn't that big of an influence on me or my life. I really didn't know a lot about him. I've never been a huge comics guy. I didn't have the G1. I'm not gonna lie though, having the Earthrise version with his 2 cassettes, or his 2 like Power Master partners, I like that better. But I never had a problem with that earlier mold. Now a lot of people did. A lot of people said You know, there are scraping or head face paint scraping things with Blitzwing. Some people even noted it with the Doubledealer use. A lot of people didn't like the shoulders. Now, to be fair, I fixed the shoulders on both of mine for them to work fine. But I get it. A lot of people said, look, the mold just wasn't great. You had really short thighs, you had really long shins, you had shoulders that did not stay pegged in because the alignment was off and whatnot. There were a lot of complaints about the mold. One use of it was bad enough. A second use of it as a somewhat fringe character was even worse, and enough people felt that way that old Doubledealer took the number 6 slot. And of course, we're at that time when a hush falls over the crowd because we are at the halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, that most coveted of locations, we have a very weird entrant because I agree with it, but I know not everybody's going to, and it's this. That's right, it's the Worlds Collide Bumblebee. Now, some people have said, I included this, by the way, on my worst for the year list and said it wasn't necessary. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not necessary. We had the Netflix one. That was the, beetle mode. It was kind of quintessentially Bumblebee. Why did we get this? And some people said, well, the Netflix one was so hard to find that I'm glad I got this one rather than nothing. Although around here, the Netflix one was not hard to find. So I can only speak for the experience here. I agree with you. But then here's my question. Why didn't they just re-release that Beetle version? Now again, I spoke to the license earlier the way I have always understood it, the way it was kind of relayed to me. Apparently it also needs to be a single release, and this was part of a 4-pack. I don't know if, I get it, it's buzzworthy, so you wanted to include a Bumblebee. I don't know if it was the best move to do. Now I repurposed that for me to be Bumper. Even got a new head, reviewed that a little while ago. As a Bumblebee, it's not even the right car mode. Either car mode, because it's not a Beetle, it's not a Camaro, it's just not Bumblebee. And enough people felt the same way that he took the number 5 slot. Now number 4 I like, but I understand the criticism. It's this guy. That's the Lex Hotshot, man. Now don't get me wrong. I didn't like that really for Hound. I didn't find that the mold worked great for Hound. I prefer the Classics Universe Hound, and I kept that Hound. And I wanted a version of the mold. I said I liked the mold. So when this came up, I was like, you know what? Not bad. That's a nice way for me to get that mold. I'm not really a Unicron Trilogy guy. I don't care. And having this as Cybertron Defense Hotshot, yeah, I'm cool with that. It was only a new head. I like the look of the coloration on it. But when you actually compare the way the character is supposed to look to this, I get it. It's a stretch. The mold is a stretch. It doesn't have the right silhouette. The coloring is as accurate in the right places as they could do it, all things considered. But it feels like something that's shoehorned in to a mold rather than the mold actually fitting the character. And enough fans felt the same way. That old Selects Hotshot took the number 4 slot. Number 3 is one that we recently talked about, and I can't argue it because I even said in the review that this wasn't good and wasn't successful, and it's this guy. Yeah, old Combiner Wars Pipes. I didn't know if we would ever get another Pipes because how often has a Pipes come along, you know? Again, one of those fringe, third-tier characters that a lot of people even forget exists. I never expected that we were actually going to get, I'd say, a decent version of him in the Kingdom line. I thought that one, as inaccurate as it was, as much as it was just Blue Huffer, I really didn't think we were going to get a more accurate, more sensible version of the character. I'm glad we did. But now that we have that more accurate version, the original Combiner Wars one not only seems like it was shoehorned in poorly using an Optimus Prime mold, I would say it didn't even use the right head. Probably should have used the Optimus's head. At least that had a faceplate. Top to bottom, I don't think that Pipes was a success, and enough fans felt the same way that he took the number 3 slot. Number 2 is one that I actually personally love as a representation of this character, and it's this. Yep, Power of the Primes, Elita One. I like that Elita One. I like that she looks big, she looks strong, she looks like a leader. I know she's supposed to have a land-based vehicle. Right away we have a plane. Not even the right alt mode. The Starscream wasn't very good. A lot of people said this one wasn't very good. And I get it. I absolutely get it. I know a lot of people don't like it. Would I ever replace it? Not with the Netflix one. I thought that was infinitely worse than the Power of the Primes one. See, I don't detest it. And I even kind of accept Orthea. While I don't like these made-up combiners, so to speak, at least Orthea's group is, and always was, a group anyway. So I can sort of understand that. Whether you see it as successful or not is a different story. I get it. Wrong alt mode, an iffy mold. Why is she a combiner? Why is she as large as what she is instead of being a little more svelte because she was never that big to begin with? I get the criticisms. I like her, but I get the criticisms. And enough people felt that the criticisms of the bad outweighed her positive benefits that she took the number 2 slot. And here we are at number 1. The top worst reuse or most ineffective reuse of a mold, and man do I ever in a billion zillion years agree with this, and it's this guy. Yeah, buddy, Combiner Wars Deathsaurus, or Deathsaurus if you will. First things first. Deathsaurus turns into like this dragon thing, and he has another alt mode, tank maybe? I'm not even sure what his other alt mode is offhand, because I always see him in robot and I love him in robot, and I feel like I'm just forgetting what his other alt mode is. I just finished watching Victory again. I mean, we need a sensible Deathsaurus is all I'm going to say. This was not it, because guess what? When Deathsaurus is in his robot mode, he is not a quadruped. He doesn't have 4 legs like Skylynx. He doesn't have like a beast head like Skylynx. He's robot. He's an actual robot. I actually did like a custom combiner of Deathsaurus using that because you had to do something with that mold. Also, people said, why is he even included with that Leo Kaiser? Where's Leozak? Where's Jaguar? Why are they not in there? Why are there not molds used for the 2 of them? This isn't even the correct guy to be part of that combiner. The mold wasn't a strong torso either. It didn't hold together particularly great. It doesn't stand together particularly well. It's not a particularly good torso. Bad torso to begin with. Bad mold reuse as a character that not a lot of people know, and those that know him did not like this use, me included. He's not even part of a combiner team, let alone giving up 2 of the actual members of that team for 1 leader. I like, nothing about it made 1 ounce of sense from the beginning to the end, and all of the people that voted for him felt the exact same way, and I totally agree. And Combiner Wars Deathsaurus took the number 1 slot. And there you have it, man. We've gone from 10 down to 1 once again. And there were some other votes that were very, very interesting and telling on this list. Motor Master, the Combiner Wars Motor Master, we know that that wasn't real great. The Battle Core Optimus Prime. That mold reuse. Why did we have a white Optimus that wasn't Ultra Magnus, people said. I'll even say this. Why did we have a white Optimus that didn't have enough added on him to make him into a Nova Prime? Combiner Wars Mirage had some votes. Combiner Wars Smokescreen had some votes. Energon RC. Who else along here? Revenge of the Fallen. Wide Load. As well as G2 Slingshot because of the GPS issue. G2 Swindle. I think I might have said Rotor Stone. Oh, the Age of Extinction Hotshot. That really looks more like tracks than anything else. Thrilling 30 Nightbeat. Thrilling 30 Bumblebee. Though, that being said, I like the Thrilling 30 Nightbeat, and I turned him into a Headmaster. What else did we have here? Titanium Menosaur. Just Black Rodimus, right? What else do we have here? Beast Wars Grimlock. Why? The person who voted for Beast Wars Grimlock just had Beast Wars Grimlock. ... Why? I get it. I get it. I 100% get it. Selects Jackpot because of the head not fitting together. Titans Return Optimus Prime. Some people said Titans Return Metal Hawk. I like that Metal Hawk, but I get it if you didn't. Reveal the Shield Jazz's reuse as Wheelie. Not the right size, not the right car. There were a lot, man. a lot. Anyway, let me know which you thought was the most ineffective, most useless, most didn't match the character mold reuse that you can think of. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course, you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. Sorry, ran out of breath there. Hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel. Don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day you do make a difference, and I look forward, baby, to the next time. And that you and I get together to have another visit either right here, Thursday nights, in the live streams, at the stop motion premieres, when they happen, or the old-fashioned way, right here, inside the video.